In this video, we're going to recreate one of Kirby Rosanes' sea life animals. To start off with, we're going to try and draw some simple shapes that we can see within the animal. We only need to draw the front part of the animal because on the other side, we're going to recreate it with geometric patterns. More about that later. To start off with, make sure that you start to mark out small little guidelines using shapes to build up that one big shape of the whale. Once you're happy with some of the small guidelines, start to try and draw some extra parts of the animal. Here I'm starting to draw the flippers on the side of this whale. Once you're happy with it, you can start to draw some of the inside parts. I've started to mark out where the eye is. If you're not happy with where this is, you can always rub it out. That's why we always draw very nice and light to start off with. I'm going to start to add some texture inside of the whale after I've rubbed out all of the guidelines. As you can see now, I'm going to add a more detailed outline to the part of the flipper. I'm going to try and add all of its lumps and its extra little bits and connect it all together. I'm still pressing down nice and lightly, just in case I make any mistakes, but I'm extending off the guidelines. And I'm starting to press a little bit harder around the outline because I'm happy with this so far. And I'm going to add the whale's mouth. Once we get to the point where we're happy with the outline, we can start to add a line to show where the geometric pattern is going to be on that side. There's lots of texture inside this whale, so we're going to take our time to add in some of the lines underneath its mouth. Later we will add some shading to make it all stand out. When we add that shading, remember that the light will come from the top, so the whale will be darker on the underside of his body. I'm adding a few more lines in there and some texture into the flipper. Remember to keep looking back at the picture that you're drawing from, because that's what we're referencing, that's what we are trying to recreate. Okay, I've speeded up the drawing a little bit now, and I'm adding in some tone using a pencil. I'm adding shadow underneath the flippers and on the underside of the whale, adding darker areas on one part underneath each line, leaving white areas for where the light hits. I'm also starting to add a few lumps and bumps on the outside of the whale because this is texture, this is on the whale's body. And I'm adding a bit more detail in there as well, some nice bits of texture. Now I've got a darker pencil. If you've got one, you can use that, or you can just press harder with the pencil that you have. And I'm pressing down harder, adding more texture using things like cross-hatching and hatching. You can also take a rubber to add some highlights to the whale. This will take away any parts or unnecessary bits of shading that you don't want, and it'll also make it look more 3D. Now for the geometric part. So on this side of the whale, I'm going to draw very lightly where I think the rest of his body might be. I'm going to add in his tail, and I'm going to do this all very nice and lightly. Next, I'm going to add some geometric pattern with either a ruler or just a simple piece of card. I have this piece of card and I've cut it in a few different ways so that I can use it to help me as a guide. And I'm just going to try and recreate the drawing. I don't want to try and follow it step by step because that would be too hard. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make lots of small lines and add lots of triangles into this body, all right? Take your time, press down nice and lightly to start off with until you get comfortable with adding this pattern. Here I'm starting to add lots of triangles together inside of this shape to make it look like the whale's tail. And then I'm adding some small sections that make it look like it's broken away. And I'm going to add some lines and detail inside of the whale. So I've done some hatching and I've done some stippling and I've added some darker areas on the underside to make it look a little bit 3D. Okay, there we have the whale's tail. Now I'm going to add a circle like you have in the picture, and I'm going to find something circular and draw around the underside, and then adding some small dashes just like Kirby Rosanes has done in his drawing. Next up I'm going to take a ruler, or again just some cards, something nice and straight, and I'm going to try and line it up with the area of the drawing that changes style in between the geometric pattern and the tonal drawing. I'm trying to line up both sides, and I'm going to just press down nice and hard there and add another line coming down to the bottom, going through the circle, and I'm going to add a small arrow on the edge. Okay, it's starting to come together. And now I'm going to line up the other side by trying to get the top part to join in with the bottom part of the circle. And I'm adding dashes just like Kirby Rosanes has done. So here you can see I've added a bit more shading where the two different styles meet. This will make it look a bit more 3D. And we're all done. Good luck and thank you for watching.